What's up, guys? This is Brent with the Dog Owners Podcast. And in this episode, I get to interview my co-host, Vinnie Somma of Say It Once Dog Training. This is a really fun episode because we get to dive into his childhood and also understand the journey that he's been on, becoming the dog trainer that you all have learned to love and learn from. Also, I do apologize because my microphone was broken in this episode, so sorry for the poor audio quality. But let's jump straight to it and get started on this episode with my friend, Vinnie Somma. What's up, guys? It's Brent and Vinnie here. We are back with another episode of the Dog Owners Podcast. In this next couple episodes, it's really important for us to have a deep dive into who we are as people. There's a big saying is people don't care necessarily what you do. They care about why you do it. And the one thing, getting to know Vinnie personally, like getting to know his story, getting to know his passion, those people who follow him, you guys already know that there's something about this guy that I like, and there's a reason why I follow him and why I listen to him. And so in this episode, we're going to be going kind of deep into his story and kind of the origins and who he is as a person, how he's grown as a dog trainer, professionally, as a businessman, as a husband, as a good man, right? And I think this is the human side of dog training, right? And I think one of the biggest things that I've had the opportunity to do in hosting the Dog Trainers Podcast is getting to meet really excellent technicians in the dog training world. But every now and then I run into some people who are excellent human beings. And Vinnie is one of those people. And that's why I call him my friend. And that's why we decided to do this podcast together. So I'm going to keep trying to embarrass Vinnie in the beginning of this episode.
It's not going to be hard.
It's not going to be hard. So I guess let's kind of start with the audience. And you can go as far back as you want to go. Like, talk to us a little bit about kind of growing up, before you were a dog trainer. Tell me a little bit about, like, what kind of kid were you?
Okay. So I was the typical younger brother of a brother who was 5 years older, right? So my brother Sergio, also one of the greatest people on the planet, like just a good human being. There's a moment today I'll talk about having a concussion and dealing with that for 2 years. And my brother was in Germany at that time playing hockey. He would always call me to see how I was doing. Hey, it's going to be better. Just keep your head up. You know this. And I am so thankful to have great parents and a great brother. But growing up underneath of a brother who's 5 years older, who was kind of a dick, right? Like, picking on his little bro. Yeah. So I was always trying to impress him or trying to impress his friends or trying to impress my parents. And hence why at least I think I'm funny, right? Because it's like, okay, physically, I'm not going to be able to compete with this guy, but I can make people laugh, right? And that gets noticed right away. My parents always said that I was a big talker as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see that one, right? It's like, oh, Vinnie talking.
Yeah, I could. Oh yeah, what a surprise! Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved cracking jokes. I was also, Brent, we'll talk about this later. I had my first job when I was like 9 years old, which was a paper route, right?
Nice.
I had a paper route 9 years old. And then, so Serge is 5 years older. So when Serge turned 16, I then got upgraded to doing papers via car, right? Because
Now you
dude.
could throw them out. Yeah, throw them out the window.
But as a kid, I was I liked hockey. I liked working hard. I loved cracking jokes. I loved doing anything, playing football with the friends outside, anything like that.
Well, in school, like what subjects were you attracted to?
Yeah. So I was terrific at math. Like I loved math. I got approved for the GATE program for math, which is like the gifted whatever kid. But I sucked so bad at reading, I couldn't get in. I was a terrible.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was terrible.
Oh, no.
Comprehension and reading skills were awful, right? But math was good. Math is quick though. It's super snappy. Yeah, but I loved math as a kid. And then I also really enjoyed history. So even to this day, I'm a huge history buff. My favorite channel growing up was the History Channel until they changed it to become all of these ridiculous
Aliens. It's all aliens.
I love aliens, dude.
I like it too.
When
I
I
like
see
it too.
Giorgio on Ancient Aliens, I'm like, "Ah, this is
Yeah,
gonna be a good
yeah,
episode."
yeah.
But it,
Yeah.
turned into like Pawn Stars and,
Yeah.
let's go to this junkyard and find shit. Nah, like I enjoy learning about our country, our country's history. I loved everything about history. Um, and I actually enjoyed art. I suck at it, but I enjoyed it. Right. It's like anything
Mhm.
that I wasn't so regimented and I wasn't put into a box. I really enjoyed. Like
Mhm.
I sucked at all English classes, language classes. It just ugh. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was my childhood. My childhood was all revolved around hockey, and my mom got a part-time job at the ice rink just so that Serge and I could go skate for free. We'd be down there every day, skating, passing, shooting, the whole 9 yards. Um, we always had dogs growing up. I My parents got a Newfoundland when I was, I say 12 years old, 11, 12 years old. That was the first dog that we got as a puppy that I remember. All of the other dogs that we had were, I was younger. I don't remember. Uh, but that dog was the first dog that I actually, like, I got a connection with, right? Because I was ordered to
Yeah.
keep the dog sit and paw, right? Like, that's all that dog knew at that time was sit and paw, but he was a great dog, and he was a great Newfie. Um, I mean, I had dogs growing up. We always had big dogs, Great Danes, Newfoundlands, German Shepherds, the whole 9 yards, like, bigger dogs. But my whole dog origin story starts at 19. So when I was 19 years old, I was pretty good at hockey. Believe it or not, I was a good athlete, very good athlete, right? And my brother went to Ohio State, had a full ride, played college hockey, played in the minor league here, went out to Europe, and that's all I wanted to do. I was like, I just want to follow his footsteps, you know what I mean? And he's 5 years older, so there's always that like competition of like, hey, I got to catch up, right? Like I've got to compete with him. So when I was 18 years old, I moved out to Chicago to play hockey for the Chicago Hitmen. This has nothing to do with dogs right now, right? And I'll kind of circle back to how we get there. But I played junior hockey in Chicago, loved it, was good, was having a pretty good year for being one of the younger guys on the team. And then, dude, I'm skating up the left wall. I got to look backwards to get. We call these buddy passes. It's like this is what you do if you want to get your line mate killed, right? Like he throws it behind
No.
me. I look back, and then the next thing I know, my head slams off the glass. I'm down on the ice, and like you hear beating drums, right? Anybody who's played a contact sport before, when this happens, you're like, where am I? So I got up,
Yeah.
skated to the bench. I get to the bench, and I have no idea what's going on where I'm at. And the doctor comes over and just like, hey, remember these three words: baseball, fire truck, red. Right? And then walks away. And I'm sitting there going, baseball fire truck, baseball fire truck, baseball fire truck. They come back and, I repeated the words, but I was fucked up. And I had bad advice to like, hey, you can work through this, right? Like this is 15 years ago. This is before concussions were like kind of a big thing. And then I got hit again in a couple weeks. And at that point, I was like a zombie, dude. Like I couldn't
Mm.
look at a computer. I couldn't look at the TV. I could barely read. I couldn't walk. My eyes were all fucked up. So I started this journey of like, okay, I've got to get better because I want to go back to playing hockey. And now we're 6 months into this journey, and I'm worse than I was 6 months ago. Right. So like my headaches are getting worse, my vision's getting worse, my attitude's getting worse. I'm eating really unhealthy. I'm super depressed. So I keep going to all these different types of doctors, and this goes on for almost 2 years. So until I'm 21, almost 22 years old. And during this time, I have 26 different medications in a Ziploc bag. I've gone to, I don't know, 14, 15 different types of doctors, and nothing's helping. Like I'm kind of like a shell of myself. And just so you know, Brent, the guy I am now is similar to the guy I was when I was 18. Loud, obnoxious,
Mm.
funny, always wants to get
Yeah.
in like
Harry.
another joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And during this period of time, I didn't talk much. I was, I, it was awful. And the only pills out of those 26 bags that did anything was hydrocodone and Ambien. Right. And so all of a sudden I'm 21 and a half or 21 years old, addicted to fucking hydrocodone, and which is a heavy pain pill. And I'm paying that doctor cash to get more pills, which is a whole thing that I cannot wait until we start talking about the medical industry with dogs. But I'm paying this doctor cash to get 300 pills, and I'm essentially a drug addict at this point, right? And I'm having a conversation with my parents. We're sitting down at I'll remember this till I'm dead. Like these next three steps is what changed my entire life. So I'm sitting down with my parents, and my parents are like, "What are we gonna do?" Right? And someone brought up the idea of a puppy. I don't know if it was my mom or dad, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds awesome! We should definitely get a puppy. I would love to have a puppy. I'd love to." And as soon as I get something in my brain, I don't know if it's the severe ADHD or the addiction personality, obviously, but I'm like, "Hey, every conversation for the next 24 hours is when are we getting a puppy? What kind of puppy? What do we do with this puppy? Like, what's happening?" So my parents cave. They're like, "You know what? We're gonna get him a puppy, but there has to be two stipulations into getting this puppy. Number one, you're gonna be the sole caretaker of this puppy. Just so you guys know, when your kid says they're gonna be the sole caretaker of the puppy, they're not going to be, right? Like that. This that never works. I love when people get their 14 to 16-year-old. Oh, we're gonna get them dog, and then they have friends and they have sports, and they just
Yeah.
the puppy goes to the wayside. That was stipulation one, and then stipulation two was I had to learn how to train him. And I have my uncle Andy, who lives out in Columbus, trained dogs in the 80s and 90s. This is my first mentor. So we get this puppy, and dude, I am addicted to this puppy, addicted to learning. I call my uncle every day. So Columbus is like 3.5 hours away. So I call my uncle every day. I'm on the phone with him for an hour and a half, 2 hours, asking all the types of questions possible, right? And I'm watching Caesar Milan from morning till night, right? And people hate on Caesar, but here's two things about him. Number one, he's the only reason I have a job, right? He's the only reason that all of us get paid to train dogs. Hey, dog training became cool because of the dog whisperer, right? And it became a huge market after that as well. So I appreciate him for everything that he's done. Even if I disagree with something he does, it doesn't matter. Like the guy is a legend to me. So I get this puppy. I'm calling my uncle. His name's Trigger. He's an English Mastiff. He's the greatest dog in the world. Like when I tell you this dog saved my life, Brent, I didn't want to wake up. Like I was so sick of living in this mental hell, right? Because anybody who's gone through depression or is going through depression or anxiety, um, I wouldn't wish that on somebody I don't like, right? There's nothing worse than looking in the mirror and going, "What are you doing here? Like, why are you here?"
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was in that state, and it changed even before I got that puppy. The second I thought about getting that puppy, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is what like I'm gonna get this dog," you start getting a little excited. You start doing a little research on it. You start thinking about it. We drive out to Ohio. I have this picture. Pick up this little Mastiff Trigger. I come home. I was like, now I got to wake up and walk this dog. Now I've got to
Mhm.
potty this dog. I've got to learn how to train this dog. I've got to start getting myself onto a routine, right? And we'll talk like, in our first episode. We talked about routine and a structure for your dog, but the same is true for people. Like it was almost as if because this dog was making me do more, I was tricking myself into feeling better. And as he started to grow, I started to do way more, right? Like now I'm starting to, hey, we're rollerblading. I can't believe the fact like I'm rollerblading now with this dog, or I'm
Mhm.
starting to jog a little bit with this dog. And this was my first, like this was my first dog. I obviously had a lot of dogs growing up as kids, but it's my first dog. And I have his little memorial here next to my desk because unfortunately he passed a few years ago. Now I'll pick up with this story, but he's a great dog. He was the greatest dog that ever lived, and you get one of those a life, right? And I'm very glad that Trigger came into my life, obviously, because I wouldn't be here without him. But I'm training this dog every day, Brent. At a year old, you can take TDI's therapy dog test, right? We
Mhm.
crushed it. On his 1 year birthday. I signed him up. We did the test. Luckily enough, there was a test that Saturday. We did the test. I passed. I was like, dude, I'm a G. Like I'm the man.
Hmm.
Right?
This is easy. Yeah.
This is a piece of cake, dude.
Yeah.
And during this time, I'm teaching this dog every trick that I can think of because this is all I did. Like literally all I did. I had no job. I wasn't going to school, nothing, right? And I had this running list of 80 different commands. This dog would take the socks off my feet. He would put the socks in the
That's
hamper.
cool.
He'd get beers or he'd get the paper from the sidewalk back in the day when people used to get a newspaper. And he'd give me toilet paper out of the cupboard, dude. This dog would do everything, right? Like, cause
That's awesome.
I had enough time to do it. And I'm sitting in bed and I'm coming up with this idea of like, you know what? This is actually this is the best thing. No longer do I think about hockey, by the way. So at this state, I'm going, I don't even care anymore. But I do want to train dogs now because I'm addicted to this and I love this, right? But I have to have that conversation with my parents as a 22-year-old with no college degree and now no athletics of going, hey, I'm not going to go to college, right? And I was a smart kid. I had a pretty good GPA. Uh, I'm not going to go to college. I want to train dogs. But anyways, I'm sitting in bed going, dude, I want to train dogs. So I start writing in this little notebook, like, dog training. Okay, what are dog training companies' names? Did I ever tell you how I came up with my company name?
Oh,
Oh,
no, I
dude,
was
this
going to
is
ask
great.
you, but
Yeah,
yeah, tell me, please.
yeah, this is great. So I'm searching through, I type in dog training companies and I'm searching through and sit means sit comes up. And I go, oh, dude, that's so smart because you only want to say it once. And I go, dude, that's what he should have named it was say it once dog training. And I literally wrote it down on a sheet of paper. All right, hold on. So I wrote it down on this sheet of paper, which I still have all of this stuff here, right? Like
Oh, that's
this is the first,
amazing.
yeah, say it once dog training with me, a little stop sign, fist up the trigger for stay by Vinnie Somma. And I have all my
Dude.
first, these are all my notes, right? These are all my notes for my idea of like, I want to become a dog trainer. And, that's a tough thing to tell your parents of like, I'm going to bypass whatever you've tried to lay out for me or vice versa that we've talked about. And I remember going to talk to my dad and, I talked to my dad and I look at him and I go, hey, uh, I don't want to go to college. Right. And during that conversation, if you've ever had a conversation like, and I know I'm playing this up, but I mean, this is a big deal. I even sometimes to this day,
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever feel like this, like, my first 6, 7 years of dog training, I was always like, "Oh, I didn't go to college." People kinda still give you a bad look. It's like, "Dude, what do I care?" Really, what do you care? But anyways,
Mhm.
it's a huge society looks at you kinda like you're a schmuck, you know what I mean? So I look at my dad and I go, "Dude, dad, I don't wanna go to college. I wanna train dogs for a living. Like, this is what I wanna do." And, I have the greatest parents in the world. And my dad looks at me and he goes, "Then do it." Gives me the biggest hug in the world. I remember exactly what I was wearing, where I was at in the house that day. And to me, that was like, holy fuck. I can't believe he just gave me the green light. Like, you don't have to go to college. Just if you're going to do it, do it. Like, that's it. So I start posting all these videos of me training Trigger online. One of my mom's friends sees me posting these and she texts my mom, says, hey, I have a golden retriever who won't walk down the street. I know Vinny can help me. Can I get his number for dog training? And she may knew I was gonna be able to help her, but I had no fucking idea that I was gonna be able to. So I'm like, okay,
So
hey,
at this time, you haven't helped other people with their dogs yet?
dude, just Trigger.
Just
That's it. This is the but I was posting
nice.
even back then, I was posting all of my training clips because that was my world. Like, that dog
Right.
was the only thing I had, dude. So everything I did was, and those are still on my Facebook today. I've taken one video down in my entire life. It was when I was rude to a dog trainer online. I try never to take even my old videos down because I don't think it's good. Oh, also at this time I had braces because they thought like maybe your jaw's
Ah.
fucked up. So I'm like a 22-year-old kid with braces, right? And this lady with the golden retriever, her name's Laura. She lives in Oakmont. And she calls me, she goes, she texts my mom or gets my info from my mom. I go to her house, I bring Trigger, and I put Trigger in the back seat of the car, go down there, sit down with her. I still do everything the same that I've done this day. So when I went to her house, I took my shoes off. I asked to sit down at her
That's
kitchen
funny.
table so I could have a conversation with her. You know, I've parents who are strict, we're grown up, right? And like, you take your shoes off unless you want to
Hmm.
buckle up. And so I sit down, I talk with her. She says, Sydney just stops. Sydney freezes. That as soon as we turn to go one way or the other, Sydney freezes. So I say, okay. I grab a slip lead that I got from a veterinary hospital, right? Like, the shitty ones that you get from the vet hospital,
Hmm.
the,
Hmm.
the strings.
Like the nylon ones.
Yeah, 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 the
Yeah,
99
yeah,
cent ones. I
yeah,
put the
yeah.
slip lead on and I go, okay, I now have seen Caesar Milan achieve this task 1,000 times. I know how pressure and release works in theory. I know it. So let me just try this with Sydney. So little pressure release, little pressure release. That motherfucker was walking around all throughout the neighborhood. And then within 15 minutes, bam, saying what's dog
Damn.
training. Like
Yeah.
like I'm here.
First client,
Yeah.
knock it out the park. Yeah.
Now I have 3 guardian angels throughout my life. Okay. In the terms of helping me with my business. The first one is Laura. She wasn't just my first client. After that first lesson, we went back to the house. She said, hey, here's the thing. We're gonna make business cards right now. I'm gonna help you make a contract for your clients. I want to help you get set up with a website. Like she took the time out of her life to help
Mhm.
me with all of this. And in the meantime, I was going to her house making, like 25, $30 for whatever, training her dog. And that led to client number 2. And that led to client number 3. And that was the beginning. I took Trigger to almost all these lessons, unless it was summer. It does get hot in Pittsburgh every now and again, but besides that, that dog
Yeah.
came with me, and I loved bringing him, putting him in it down, just showing people what he does, and that's where my origin story started.
Dude, I think it's funny because because I've interviewed a lot of dog trainers, right? And the origin story tells me a lot about what's important to you and like what is meaningful to you, right? And the the funny part is like I remember in my 20s, I was a dog trainer since I was 18, but I remember in my 20s to like 28 to almost 30, people are like still lost and they're just like, they don't know what they want to do. And they're just like, and you're just like, yeah, I'm training dogs. Then they're like, oh yeah, that's nice and all, but like, what about my career and my college? I don't know this and that. But there was always certainty. And it sounds like you followed dog training because not only you had a huge passion for it, but it sounds like it was the work you were doing was meaningful. And so like the career path was set. Tell me about that moment. Like what was it in your head where you go, I want to train dogs? I'm going to scrap every other plausible future outcome. What was it that you were just like, it's dog training?
The day I realized while training Trigger, I was having more fun than I did when I was playing hockey. So for me, hockey was my entire life. It's all I did, right? Like I missed every dance growing up. I missed all that because I was away playing hockey every weekend. And then the moment where I'm training Trigger and I go, dude, this is actually the best moment of my life up to this point in time, then why would you do anything else? Like what's what would be the point? And I just got I mean, it was 2 years of hell to bring me to the greatest life I could have ever asked for. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's it.
It's nuts, man. Now you mentioned you had 3 guardian angels.
Mhm.
So Laura's her name.
Mhm.
That was the lady who got you to get business cards and get a contract and all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about your 2 other guardian angels.
Yeah, so it was a couple years into dog training. Uh, my first full year of dog training, I made 12,500 and something bucks, right? And I was pumped. I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude.
Nice.
Great." Yeah, I was
Nice.
pumped up, dude. And then, and that doubled to like 28,000-ish the second year. My third year, I made 40,000 bucks, right? And I'm going, "Hey, I can do this for a living." Like 40,000 bucks,
Yeah.
especially 13 years ago or 12 years ago now, that would have like, dude, you can live off that. That's great. That's all I need. That's perfect. And at that point, I trained this girl. Her name was Steph. She lives down the street. I trained her Bernese Mountain Dog, Wilson. Okay. Brent, you're probably this way too, because I like people. One thing about me is I probably like people just as much, if not more, than dogs. All right. And that's not very common in the dog trainer world. Like, I love people. I love hearing about people and talking to people and connecting with people. And just the same way that I love dogs and meeting dogs, connecting with dogs. So I'm talking with Steph. We do the lesson. And her husband was super against it at first, by the way. Mike, great guy, cop for the city, great guy. And I left, and Mike goes, "That was the best $80 we have ever spent in our entire life." So I go
That's
back.
awesome.
Yeah, I know. A compliment from a guy like that is huge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It was awesome. It might have been $100. I don't remember what it was, but it was awesome. And so I go back and I start training Wilson again for second, third lesson. And at this point, now I've made a connection with Steph. And Steph goes, "Hey, listen, uh, we need to actually build out your website, and you need to build a Facebook page specifically for Say It Once dog training. You need to learn how to use this Facebook page for yourself." And
And
this was a big opening for me to start kind of marketing myself. And I remember this. She told me this, and it was actually one of the most telling things that anyone's ever told me. She goes, "I do want you to know that the world's greatest marketer and average dog trainer will be more successful than the world's greatest dog trainer who's the worst marketer." She says, "You
and
have to learn how to market, and you have to learn how to use these tools to your advantage." And I would spend hours at her house doing our Facebook, coming up with different ways to send out our emails and stuff like that. And she really gave me a big kick in the ass to kind of fix some of the stuff that, what 25 or whatever I was at that time year old knew what to do. Like, I didn't know any of that stuff. And that was guardian angel number 2. And she's the sweetest person in the world, 2 great kids, great husband. And I'll have to send this to her because I don't know if she knows exactly how much she helped me, but she helped me more uh, than I'll ever be able to tell her. But that was a huge moment for me.
that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the people, it's these, yeah, when you say guardian angel, it's almost like these guiding angels, right? It's not just they were protecting you, but they were equipping you with, the techniques and the insights and the armor, the sword, the shield, like they were getting you ready for what will eventually become this future career, right? And that's amazing. I
Yeah.
love it.
Not only that, I view them almost as my North Star, right? They were giving me the tools, but also pointing me in a direction where I needed to go. And,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how much a believer in God that you are or everybody is, but I mean, to kinda look back from where I was to where I am now, and I go, like, how did I happen to get a dog that would change my life, that would set me on this path? Um, I mean, just to me, there's not many other solutions. It's like, dude, you're an addict, and then you get to go to this. So I'm so grateful for everything that's ever happened, and I'm very grateful for those first 2 guardian angels. And we can go over that third if you're ready. This one's hard to talk about because she has now passed, and she's a very good woman who owned a an incredible photography business. And this is the year of what was the year of COVID?
2020, 21,
It was 20.
2020,
I
2020. I
can't. Yeah. So this
think it's
was
2020.
right before COVID. Okay. And I trained her dog, and it was a little poodle, right? Or I'm so sorry. It was a little golden doodle, and just had basic leash stuff. And we sit down at the end of her lesson. She goes, "Hey, listen, I don't know you all that well, but I have to tell you something." And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I think you're really dropping the ball." And I was like, "Fuck." Internally, I'm like,
Nine.
"Dude, this lesson went so
What
good."
the hell, man? Yeah.
Yeah, what the hell? And I'm going, What are you talking about?" And she goes, "This was one of the best days that I've ever had training my dog with you. And I can't believe how much progress we've made in an hour. You're not filming anything that you're doing. and it's a disservice to what you're doing, and I think you're really dropping the ball. And my initial instinct, Brent, is to go, I I'm kind of an edge like, "Fuck, who's gonna tell?" So I go home that day, I have to really think about this and go, "She's right. I'm really dropping the ball on this." And that's when I started putting out all of my video marketing in 2019, 2020, or whatever the year that was, and that changed my entire life. Like, that is the reason that you and I are here because
Yeah. Well, yeah.
all of the advice she would give me about my videos early on of not caring what people think about, not worrying about naysayers because you know your truth, you know what you're doing, right? And you can see what it's because that for a lot of people, putting your life online is or your art online, and
Mm.
that's what this is to me. This is not just a job, right? This is a wonderful piece of work that at least the way that I view it. And when someone criticizes your art, it is really hard to kind of go, that's okay, right? Like that, it took me years and years to get comfortable with that. And that was my guardian angel number three, and she is one of the biggest pieces of and you know what really bothers me is I know I thanked her a lot, but I don't think I got to thank her anywhere near enough while she was alive, and that sucks because
Mhm.
she was a huge help, and we only had 3 lessons, not that we didn't keep in touch beyond that, but she was a huge help to my personal life, and, I really appreciate her a lot.
Mm. Well, I think she knows, you know, I think she
Yeah,
knows. I think
yeah,
she knows now. And I think the best way that you thank people is by taking their information or taking their wisdom and applying it into your life. Because, just like what makes a good client is someone who did what I said and they found success. And that's the biggest compliment you can give to me as a service provider, as a friend, or as a helper. That's really cool. What's interesting is when I was hearing you talk about your guardian angels, there's one way you look at it is sometimes we receive the information when we're ready to receive the information,
so
right?
true.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong. So you had someone who was like, "We got to get business cards and we got to get this contract going, right? Let me teach you how to protect yourself and start selling yourself, marketing yourself."
Mhm.
Then you had someone who was like, all right, we got to get this website. We got to get like more marketing. Like, let's double down on marketing. Let's sell who you are again. And then you had someone who said, what you do is so wonderful. Share it with the world. They literally were just like, share it with the world. If you would have gotten advice number 3 when you were 22, you would be like, no way.
Mhm.
I mean, tell me about that. Did the order that you got this information matter?
Dude, and once again, how could that be random? Right? Like, to me, it's not. It's, you meet people in your life who will change your life, and they were put there for a reason. And you're totally right. You do have to be willing and open because there was a part of me that when she said, "Hey, you're dropping the ball," that I wanted to say, "Screw you." Right? Like, there's a
For
big
you,
part of me
lady.
that wants to
Yeah.
do that. Um, but yeah, they all 3 of them just unbelievable people, and I am eternally grateful for their part into helping me kind of grow my life. Um, and those are my 3 guardian angels. And obviously my biggest guardian angel is my boy Trigger sitting here next to me, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
That's amazing, man. That's really special. Now, so through this journey, you're kind of like, okay, this is you building in essence a brand. And by the time you're 25, 26, you start putting this stuff online, you start building this brand, and it starts growing, right? At what point? Because we want to do this thing. You love the process of dog training so much. You love the process of helping people and clients. When did you start thinking bigger? When did you start thinking, you know what? I think I can teach people what I do. Or when did you start thinking of scale?
Yeah, that's a good point. So this would have been uh, almost 9 years ago That's a good point. So 10 years ago, I hired my first employee because I had a constant need for a dog walker and a pet sitter. And that's where I got connected with Jenna Lee. She still works for me today. She runs my dog boarding facility and daycare facility. And that was like the first, like, hey, everybody was asking about this. Guess who introduced me to Jenna Lee? Guardian angel number two, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she was like, hey, this person would be awesome for what you're looking to do. They don't like their
Mhm.
current job. It'd be awesome if you guys can connect. So we met at Panera,
Yeah.
right? At this point, I have no idea how I'm gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you this," or "I'm gonna do this," right? Because I'm a kid and I'm just trying to figure my life out. And um,
Was this lady older than you, or was she
yeah,
the lady
generally
you
is about
hired?
yeah, she's like 7 years older than me, so she's not,
Okay.
she's about your age then, right?
Yeah.
She's
Old.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I meet with her at Panera. I kind of tell her what my thoughts are. I wrote everything down of like, hey, this is what we should charge per walk. This is what I'll pay you per walk. This is what we should charge per sit. She said yes. And that was like the beginning of like, okay, there's two people now and say it wants dog training. This is pretty dope. And then almost a year later to the date, I hired my first uh, dog trainer, right? Someone who went to
Mm.
who went to a dog training college, came shadow with me. We trained together for a while, and then they went and trained under the Say Once Dog Training, and that was awesome. Like it was cool. And then a year goes by, and we have another trainer. And then 2 years go by, and we have two more trainers. And it was just this slow progression of building up this snowball. A lot of one thing that I'm really good at, Brent, is marketing my company and marketing ourselves online. But I'm not good at the other end, which is advertising and stuff of the like paid
Mhm.
advertising. And I'm very proud to say I've only spent $100 on paid advertising in Pittsburgh my entire life, right? And
That's amazing.
but the reason is it's been 14 years. We have slowly built and built. We have 10, 11 trainers in Pittsburgh now, but it's all been organic because people actually care. Like my employees, that's the best attribute of all of my employees is that they are just good people, right? Other than the fact that they're tremendous dog trainers and they really, really are good at, especially at what we kind of assign them to, because everybody falls into their own little niche within dog training, right? A puppy trainer and works with this type of dog and so on and so forth. But they connect with humans, and when I
Mhm.
have somebody who does work for me, and they connect with me, and they're very nice and they're kind, the one thing I want to do is shout from the rooftops how awesome of an experience I had with that
Mm.
person, and always do that, by the way. So it doesn't matter if it's a plumber or if it's a someone who's doing your lawn. Like tell your neighbor. I would rather someone do that than leave a Google review, right? And and so that's where that snowball just built and built. And some of that probably comes back to my childhood because my dad has run a pizza shop since he was 22 years old, right? And he's owned a few different Soma pizza places throughout Pittsburgh, and that entrepreneur bug's always been there. Not in restaurants because that's one thing I do not want to do. Right? I see how much my parents worry. But yeah, that's kind of how the beginning stages of growth started for the business side. The dog training journey on the other end is a completely different journey, right? Because like you've probably gone through this too. There's a difference between like my business journey and then my skills as an artist journey. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Because the way
Mhm.
I started dog training was through my uncle. Like I said, one of the greatest people on the planet. My first mentor taught me everything I knew at the beginning, minus what I learned from watching Caesar Milan. Did you ever see that Caesar Milan South Park clip, by the way?
Yes.
It
Cartman.
it came up
The
on my
Cartman,
feed
yeah.
today. Yeah. But,
It's
he was
classic.
my first yeah, classic. He's my first mentor, and then Caesar Milan idolizing him. Um, but, I started with choke chains and slip leashes, no food, no, no rewards minus a pat on the head sort of style dog training. And while it did produce dogs that obeyed and listened, I can totally see the difference between my videos from 7 years ago from now to the enthusiasm the dogs have now that I work with, because my training has changed completely. So I started with chains and slip leads, no rewards. I was against prong collars and e-collars at this time too, by the way. Like, super big anti-advocate for these tools. And why is that? Because I never was taught how they work.
How to use it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like we're all like that. We are all
We all
opposed to things.
judge the things we don't understand. Yeah.
Yes. And I was a huge, like, dude, what kind of loser would use a prong collar on a dog, right? And
Mhm.
meanwhile, I'm choking a dog with a slip lead. You know what I mean? Like, like what the
And we're
hell's
like,
going
this
on?
is better.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. We all stand on our high hill. So,
Yeah.
as the years progress, now that I'm starting to get busy, I'm starting to take this even more serious, and I'm starting to try to find other ways to train dogs. And I'm, looking online and I'm watching videos, and I come across Michael Ellis, right? And for me, watching Michael Ellis explain things was like, whoa, that makes so much more sense to me. And also, there were some things that I knew just from watching dogs, but I never knew how to explain it or understand why it's important. And that, to me, like, once I watch a true artist explain and talk to people and have sympathy and empathy for people and work dogs in the way, I was like, oh, this was addicting, right? So then came in the 19 fucking videos from Michael Ellis and watching all this stuff. And then, even beyond Michael Ellis, I start drifting into other versions of dog training, right? Like, to me, I'm a professional thief. Like, I try to steal
Yeah.
as much information
Yeah.
as I possibly can. My dad told me, my dad's grandparents had this saying when they came over from Italy of
Mhm.
steal with your eyes. So watch
Mhm.
everything that you can, and
Mhm.
steal as much of the information as you can so that you can, use it. And that, to me, is vital in my dog training. And now I feel so much better training dogs based, back from back then. Unfortunately, I think a lot of dog trainers who came from that era, especially the Cesar Millan era, probably had a shift in the way that they train dogs. There's obviously some who have no shift at all, and that's fine. Um, but I enjoy the dog enjoying training, right? Like, it actually is super rewarding to see that. So it's funny to watch videos and go back and forth. And there's been that's the other thing that's super annoying, Brent,
Yeah.
is every year I feel like I know a lot, and I know a lot more
Uh-huh.
than I did the year before.
Uh-huh.
And then next year I get humbled again. And then
Yeah.
next year I get humbled again and again. And it is a beautiful process. There is no doubt.
Yes.
Like, that is the
Yes.
benefit of, like, what one thing that you guys will come to learn about Brent. Um, Brent is one of the most intelligent people I've ever been around. He's
Oh
super
man,
smart.
thanks.
Oh, of course, dude. I mean that through and through. And I like putting myself near people that make me look dumb. Like, I never had a hard time being the youngest guy on a hockey team and having to go through the licks, because I'm like, dude, this is the easiest way to get better faster, like, bar none. Um, and hockey kind of shaped everything about me too, right? Like, that it shaped even my dog training. It shapes it so much. We can talk about that in a second. But put yourself near people who are way smarter than you, and you'll succeed faster. You won't have to go through all the dumb shit that I had to go through at the beginning, until I started to seek people that are smarter than myself.
Yeah, man. It reminds me of kind of, remember the presentation on patterns that I did. Because that's literally what I stole from Tony Robbins, right? It's like noticing patterns, right? That's stealing with your eyes. When you can see patterns exist and you just, notice them and keep track of them and write them down. Like watching a video is noticing a pattern, right? Something that breaks something down and then being able to use that pattern. And I think we're at a place now in our careers where we've used so many patterns that we've stolen with our eyes that we start creating maybe a remixed version or a more palatable version or a more thoughtful version of those patterns that we learned. And I think that's what leads to the evolution of dog training is we did it the traditional way enough times to be like, this could be better, you know? And then now, you know, in our respective businesses, as we are taking all of that, those videos we learned, all the classes we did, all the workshops we did, and we're taking that knowledge and that information and then remixing it into a new pattern or something better. Hence the first episode we did about the puppy cycle, the routines, right? That's just a remixed version of like 5 different people's information.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I love
There
that.
was,
Now you mentioned earlier, you said how hockey like kind of influenced your dog training a little bit. Can we go into that?
yeah, 100%.
Cause can I say something to the audience real quick? Because, Vinny is a competitive motherfucker,
Well, yeah,
right? Very competitive. And he's strangely good at useless things like ping
dude.
pong. Like he's
Yeah.
really good at ping pong. He's probably really good at like beer pong. I haven't played him beer pong because he doesn't drink, but but he's ridiculously coordinated and competitive enough to keep like going and going and going until he beats you. So that's what I know, Vinny. So continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, so someone once asked, how competitive are you? And the easiest way for me to answer that is I got into a fist fight with my hockey coach over a game of Monopoly, right? So it's like that's how, because he said I cheated. I said I did not cheat. He continued. And that coach was one of my, like, I'm 20, or no, I'm 18. He's one of like my best friends. You know, it's more than just this kind of relationship. It was like this relationship, and
Yeah.
yeah, we butt heads. It was awesome, but yeah, hockey shaped it in two ways. Number one is the competitiveness. Like that's what pushes me to keep going in dog training and not just stop, because I do want one day to be more than, you know, than what I am now. Like I just want to keep improving, and I also want to keep improving my business. So both of those. But more than anything is uh, the purpose, right? Like to
Mhm.
me, from 2 years old when I first learned to skate till 19 when I was done playing hockey, that was my purpose, right? And going out
Mhm.
there and, like, you know, my parents tried to put me in baseball. I hated it, right? They tried doing all these things,
Mhm.
and then they found the one thing that I loved, and that was it. Like for me, that was everything. What is your dog's purpose? You know, what is their hockey? What is the one thing that really they like and they enjoy and they want to do? And that to me is like that is the easiest way to explain to people, hey, your dog is a football player and you're trying to play tennis. He does not want to play tennis. Let's put him in a
Mhm.
game of football. And then, you know, the last thing that you think about with sports is the structure of sports.
Mhm.
So there's a time and a place that I can do
Practice.
this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, so when can I do this one thing, right? Because it's totally fine to go kill someone if they have the puck, but you can't just go
Mhm.
hit people randomly. And the same is true in dog training. It's like, dude, there's a time and a place for this behavior, just not now, right? Like
Mhm.
we'll set it time up for that one thing to happen. I would say that's the biggest thing that sports taught me.
No, I love that. And I think that's kind of a gift that we get, right? Like when you can, so the Miyamoto Masashi, he talks about, he's a samurai who wrote a book that people quote a lot, but he said, once you see the way broadly, you see it in all things.
Hmm.
So when he talks about the way, he's like the pattern of like how you master something or the meaning of things. You start to see on a greater scale, like, wow, the principles of hockey apply to dog training and the principles of dog training apply to maybe some relationships or
Hmm.
applies to, you know, this or that. Right. And it's in essence, what you're kind of getting exposed to is just the dynamics of existence. Right. And like you start seeing these patterns again, and then you start using those patterns, and then we start creating those patterns. That's
100%.
super cool. I freaking love that, man. So as you know, Vinny, the dog training world is really saturated, right? Like there's more dog trainers now than there was 10 years ago, than there was 2 years ago. There's more dog trainers now. But as you kind of grow in your brand, something is sticking out. Something is special about you. I think I know what it is, but I would love to know what you think is something special that you bring to dog training and this entrepreneur dog training life.
Okay. Yeah, this is something that we've talked about before in private. So I want to talk about it in with you guys. Beyond being a good teacher, I do think that I enjoy teaching. If you enjoy it, you'll be better at it. So that is one of my biggest skills is my ability to teach people. We talk about this complicated concepts and break it down so simple that a plumber can enjoy, right, and understand.
Mhm.
But even more important than that, being able to feel energy is one of the is an actual gift, right? And I know that may sound like a quacky
Woo
thing.
woo. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I can walk into a house and feel what is going on with that dog. I can feel what is going on with people around me.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that to me is something that I try to leverage because especially the more that you see dogs in the one real big benefit of lessons, I tried one time a couple years ago to break down how many lessons I've had in my life, and it was, I don't know, 16, 17,000, something like that at that point. You start to see so many dogs, you can literally walk into a room and go, "Whoa, I can feel this. I know what's going on.
So,
I can understand it before anybody's even said a word." And that is a skill, or
yeah,
it is a gift. I don't know which one it is. I don't wanna be the guy saying, "Oh, it's a gift what I do." But I'm very, you know, I'm very in tuned to how the dog feels before we start training, during training. I'm very in tune. What is the word for that? I know there's a word for that.
for feeling
Yeah.
empathetic or
Yeah,
like,
that's what I thought, but I always
li-
screw that one up with,
yeah.
emphatic.
So emphatic, yeah, empathetic. Like there's a certain type of attunement that you have to living creatures. So like the one way that I break it down, and I want to go back to you, is like humans are like cell phones, where like we have Wi-Fi and we have Bluetooth. Bluetooth allows you to pair with other devices,
Yeah.
right? And Wi-Fi is the ability to trust wisdom. Like whether again, if you believe in God, it's your connection to the source or your connection to your instinct or your connection to whatever the wisdom is. That's your Wi-Fi connection. So that's how I kind of break it down.
I like that, I'm stealing that. Remember, folks, steal with
Steal
your
it,
eyes.
please.
That one's stealing with your
That's
ears, but I
right.
like that one a lot.
Yeah, but you were saying, I cut you off in the middle of a thought and trying to get back to it. Or what it was about connect. So that's the biggest thing you bring to the table with dog training is your ability to connect.
Yeah, 100%. And I hope that I mean, I know, but I hope that all my clients feel that too, is that you don't wanna hire a dog trainer who's checking a box, moving on with their
Yeah.
life. You wanna hire a dog trainer to care because this dog is probably, you know, this this dog may be somebody's trigger, right? Like this dog may be one of the things keeping this person alive, or one of these things keeping this person here. Um, so you cannot. This is why the looking at dog training like an art is so important because it is not just a job, and it's not just I get to check in, check out. These dogs are so fucking important. And you have to really put yourself in that position, and when you care that much, it makes it so much easier to truly feel and to connect with that person and with that dog.
100%. And I think that's the nature of, not the nature, that's a principle, not just for dog training. I think that's just for life, right? And existence. Like that ability to connect and block some of those things that get in the way, like our ego or our expectations or things like that. Like how many times you go into a lesson, you think you have a plan, and then you walk into that room and you're like, I got to scrap this plan. I
Yeah,
got to scrap
right.
this plan. And we're starting from scratch, man.
I was talking with a trainer, out in California how important a game plan is, but even more important than a game plan is your ability to go, "This game plan is not going to work today." I can't say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'll be back in 2 days with another game plan." You gotta figure it
Yeah.
out on the fly. You have to be
Yeah.
quick on your feet.
Yeah.
And dogs, because dogs are not a computer, it is never 1 + 1 = 2. So you always have to be aware of like, I'm going to need another trick out of my bag. I'm going to need to try to do this
It's like a
instead.
playbook. You need a playbook, not a game plan.
Yeah,
You know,
literally.
you need a bunch of
Yeah.
plays. There's so many plays that
Yeah.
change. You know,
Yeah.
that's amazing, man. I mean, you're doing something special, man. It's pretty self-evident. So I'm honored to do this podcast with you.
I appreciate that, dude. I really do. I have a hard time hearing that, but I appreciate that. I don't know
You
why.
suck, Vinny. You suck.
I would prefer
Oh,
I'd prefer that,
well,
right? Like, I think I do better with that. I've
yeah.
always been
Well,
the type of person who would rather say
go ahead.
"fuck you" to somebody. Like, I would much prefer somebody be like, "Oh, you can't do this." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Fuck you," versus, "Oh, you did so good." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh god, I don't know. Did
Yeah.
I?"
Yeah,
Really?
well, I think I think we've talked about it, but they talked about like the three characteristics of entrepreneurs and the three characteristics that all successful people have in common is number one, they think they're better than everyone. Right? Me, number one, there's like a certain aspect where you're like, yeah, I deserve better. I want better than I had, when I was younger, or I want better in some way, shape, or form. I deserve better. Number two, there's also a crippling fear of being inadequate at the same time. Like I'll never be enough. Like I gotta keep trying. I'll be enough when this happens. And then number three, we just so happen to have enough self-control that we can execute things without getting, too far off kilter. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's weird to think you're the shit, but also think that you ain't shit. And then also think that and then have enough self-control to do something about it. Right. So, I think that's at least speaking for me, that's why I sometimes hated getting compliments, because I'd be like, I'm not good enough yet. Oh, I'm still working on it. Like,
Dude, literally, yeah, thank you for explaining what is going on inside my brain at all times.
I've been
I
in therapy for
appreciate
years, bro. If you need help, let me know. I'm practically certified. Cool.
that.
Cool. Yeah, I learned therapy the way some people learn dog training, just online. and well, man, this was a great interview. Anything else you want to tell the audience about what's going on, about you?
I just want to say thank you. I've been put in a position that for some reason or another, people will listen to me talk, and they listen to me talk about dogs and about my life. And I just am very, very grateful for you listening, you, Brent, everything that has happened to this point in my life. I am the furthest thing from a saint. So I'm the furthest person, like, that should get any luck and or any cards dealt their way. So I'm so grateful for it, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys taking the time, and I really hope that you guys, for one, even for a day in your life, get to have the same amount of love with your dog that I had with Trigger. And I hope that you get that dog in your life, and I hope that that dog changes your life, and just spend more time with him, man. That's really it. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome, man. This was a great episode, guys. This is kind of the biography and hero's journey of Vinnie Somma. Again, my name is Brent LaBrada, and that's Vinnie Somma, and this is the Dog Owners Podcast. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. See you later. Goodbye. Have a good one.